Tap dancing as well. That's beautiful.
There you go.
Never do it again. All right. So welcome to Pricking the Bubble. I'm Mike the Llama, and your special guest this week and every week, Dr. Brant Raven. Welcome again.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Mike the Llama.
Thank you.
How are you?
I'm going all right.
How are we going with our?
Well, I think we've caught the attention of a few Star Wars fans.
Oh, have we?
Yeah.
There you go. Bunch of nerds.
That's good. That's right. You dirty frickin'. Anyway, a special hi to Peter, our audio
engineer.
Hello.
Oh, good. Very good.
I don't like that word, expert. What
Expert?
a fucked up word.
All right.
No one knows it better than me.
That's correct. So today,
Oh,
I
we go.
thought I would.
Topic setter.
Yeah, the topic is going to be, and not quite the way you think when I first say it.
We don't really have a specific topic. I mean, we set the topic with
and then we talk around it.
Do we go on tangents?
Yeah, it's going to be guns.
Got a whole book on tangents.
Thank you.
Guns,
but not quite where you think.
Okay.
I know we do have an American audience for some of our things, and I know that guns and the laws here are very different to over there. It's very easy for us to preach our gun laws to other places and say, "Hey, look at us, we do it right." But what I want to try and just examine is why is it so different in America, and what could possibly happen to have them come round to our way of thinking. You know, we got rid of our guns back in '96, I believe, after the Port Arthur massacre. We had a gun buyback, and we haven't had any mass shootings or large-scale incidents ever since. All right, so what I want to know is what has to happen in America for that attitude to change. Go, tell me, solve it for me now. Go.
Well, I don't know, and in all honesty, I don't think it's going to change. We've got two very different histories. We've got two exceptionally different histories.
That's true.
And the gun culture in the States is based very much on their history. I mean, and ours is based on ours. So I don't necessarily...
Very insightful.
Yeah, well, I mean, well, that's just it. I mean, I just don't think it's going to change. I don't know what can happen. I don't think anything can really happen. I mean, there's so much... you hear about some sort of shooting or massacre involving a gun in the US almost weekly. I'm sure there are things that happen there that we don't hear about. I'm sure there are shoot-ups and things that happen that
we
just
hear
simply...
about the mass shootings. We don't hear about the fact that every day there's X number of people getting shot. You know, there's like 30 or 40,000 people. I might be making that number up, but it's something like that, who get shot and killed in America every year.
Right. And obviously...
How is that okay?
Well, it's not okay. But the fact that it's not okay and the fact that it continues really tells me that it's not going to change. And the premier reason that it's not going to change is because you have an industry over there that is very, very gun-oriented. You've got massive amount of lobbyists and a massive industry built around arming the public.
Yeah, I know. And one of the things that they always talk about is there's a fundamental trust of their government. And
but I don't think it's got anything to do with trust.
But there is, because they believe that at some point they're going to have to defend themselves against,
what, King George?
Well, if he digs himself back out of the ground and comes over, then
Zombie
maybe
King George.
Zombie King George might be. He's probably only going to have a sword anyway, isn't he? But they don't trust who they live with. They don't trust their government. They don't trust that their government has their best interests at heart. and it's an ongoing issue.
The Trump administration is going to allow them, and in fact support them for keeping their guns. Surely that's the one of the hallmarks of that administration.
Yeah, that's true. But by the definition of
that's why I'm saying you can never ever win the argument. You're going to end up with either an administration that they won't trust, like say the Obama administration, or an administration that they partially will trust,
who will allow them
to keep their guns. The bad guys have guns argument really doesn't cut it for me, and I'll tell you why.
But it does for them.
Yeah, it does for them. But this goes back to the argument of religion. You know, it's if what I believe, I can believe something and believe that it's the truth, even if what I believe isn't based in fact. Okay, and the fact is that any nation, and especially big nations like the US, which are big, unwieldy, hard to administer, the bad guys no longer wield guns. There are bad guys out there, to be sure. They don't wield guns. They wield a laptop, right? And they wield a book. The bad guys that you should be fighting against derive their power from knowledge and derive their power from, being able to be at the right place at the right time. Knowledge, that's really it. So
you're still talking at upper level, though.
No,
day to day, it's some guy with a gun on the street.
Well, yeah, okay.
I think there's more of a visceral attraction for guns.
It's a phallic
for gun
substitute.
Yeah. It's a real symbol of power, like personal power.
Yeah.
Even just firing a gun at a target feels powerful.
I would completely agree with that. I would say it's very visceral. It's very visual. It's a very masculine thing, although I know women have guns as well. It's very much related to me being able to show my power and demonstrate that power, or to show that I can demonstrate that power if I want to.
And that kind of defines America anyway.
It does, yeah.
It's all about a show of might.
Well, this is what I was saying. What I was saying, the idea of if the gun lobby says, well, the bad guys have guns, therefore the good guys should have it as well, that's a pretty shit argument, because the bad guys no longer really have guns. The really bad guys have laptops, right? So if you want to defeat your bad guys, increase your knowledge, because your knowledge is power, right? No, but I'm saying I'm arguing against the gun lobby here.
Yeah, okay.
I'm saying against the gun lobby's argument of the bad guys have guns. If you really want to defeat the bad guys, increase your knowledge. That's one way, or probably one of the best ways, of defeating the really, really bad guys, right?
But we're talking about the average bad guy.
The average bad guy. I don't know. I mean, how do you defeat yourself against that? I mean, I don't know. Yeah, if you've got a culture that's being built around the ownership of guns, then obviously the guys who are really bad and want to do you harm are going to have guns. And if you're a good guy, then one of the best ways to protect yourself, I guess, against those particular bad guys is going to be to have a gun.
But is it?
Which again makes my argument why this problem will never really be solved.
Well, no, but the part of the issue that I see about that is I don't actually recall too many places. I mean, you can find them on YouTube, sure, that's fine, of people who see the bad guy doing something bad and pull out their own gun and shoot them. Now, that happens a couple of times. That's fine. I get that. But that's also part of their argument. Everyone thinks that they're fucking Dirty Harry and can take care of the bad guy when the bad guy comes in. But if you've seen the Jim Jeffries, talking about guns, he's like, well, you're meant to have these things locked up. So someone's climbing in through your window. Oh, hold on, I'll just go undo my safe and get the gun. Wait there, I'm going to come get you. In reality, these people don't have their guns locked up. They've got them sitting in a freaking drawer next to the bed. No. So that's why most people are going to get shot by their own freaking gun.
That's right. There's a lot of stats and certainly a lot of studies that have been done to show that you're X times more likely to suffer an injury or death at the hands of a gun if you in fact are a gun owner.
So in as much as you say that it's all about knowledge that's needed, how do you get through to these people?
Well, you can't.
Well, no, but that's very defeatist, though. I'm trying to find a way, find an argument to get through to these people. That you can see the stats that most people are likely to be killed by their own gun. Your chances of being shot in a mass murder, and you defend yourself are so minute
Yeah,
that
but
why
Mike,
would you have
Mike,
a gun?
It's not going to happen to me.
Well, that's true.
It's not going to happen to me in the same way. How do you get through to any fucking person? You can't get through to people that are going to maintain a belief, right? That's why we have the systems of government that we have. That's why things like the lotto still survive, because people are stupid enough to go and buy a ticket, right?
When it's good, they think it will happen to them. And when it's bad,
can't win it unless I'm in it. You know,
Yeah.
let me go buy that freaking ticket. I better do it, right? I better be part of that. You know, and it's the same argument. It's exactly the same argument. It's a religious argument. You'll never be able to win a religious argument. You're trying to win the argument based on facts, based on logic, based on, you know, a whole bunch of reasonable things to do and say. People are not interested in that.
Okay, so what you've done, we've established what I wanted, which was the baseline for removing all guns.
Right.
Not going to happen. I agree. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
That's good. My next point is, so what about the equivalent of what we did here, getting rid of semi-automatics and things like that? Why would they refuse that, for starters? I know we've established it. It's a power thing. It's a, look at the size of my gun. It's all that sort of business. But surely a logical argument can be made. Well, you can keep your guns, just don't keep the ones that allow you to kill 60 people in 60 seconds.
In 60 seconds, I'd say 60 people in 6 seconds.
Well, you know, this is exhibiting my lack of gun. You know about guns. You should be talking about those. But it's, how can that argument?
Well, it can't.
Well,
no,
no, but
that's the point.
no, but at
It's the
some
point,
point,
you
at
can't-
some point in the conversation, you have to say, all right, these people actually aren't completely idiotic. There are 300 and something million Americans. They're not all stupid. So, no,
Well, they are.
No, they're clearly
Well, no, they are. How can you say?
Let's not alienate our audience.
You're making an argument almost. You're basing your argument from popularity. You're saying, oh well, or you know, that's really the argument you're making, which is a logical fallacy. You're saying it's an argument for popularity. There's a whole bunch of people that believe this. They can't all be stupid. Well, yes, they can. They can all be stupid.
Well, they've all
a
been
whole bunch of people believing a bunch of stuff that's not based in reality. That's
It can be a fear-based thing too. I mean, I lived in South Africa for a while, and I'm thinking they have a very similar murder rate to the United States, and they have guns available too. But a lot of South Africans would tell me that, or city, more urban ones would not carry guns, because they would tell me that if you're in a robbery situation, if you pulled a gun, it would escalate very quickly. And a robber who may just want to point a gun at you and take your wallet might start firing if you had a gun, or if they saw that you had a gun. So a lot of them are much smarter about how would you survive a crime situation. Is it better to have your own gun? Is it better?
So is that again a fundamental difference in that, as you say, they're working from a fear perspective, whereas in America it's coming from a attack sort of.
But I think the South Africans sort of had because they live with quite a lot of crime, real visible crime all the time. There's a huge difference between rich and poor there. And on the farms, it's different in the farms. The farmers are armed because there's quite a high homicide rate for farmers there, and there's no police are far away, and they have to defend themselves. They form their own little
militia.
Militia within.
What a horrible way to live.
And I couldn't actually imagine. I think that they sort of, it pains me to say, that they actually sort of need guns to make sure that the robbers know that they could be going to a place where they could.
What a horrible way to live.
Yeah,
Oh,
but they're used to it. They're used to it. It's just part of part of their
still,
life.
I mean, I can't even imagine what that would be doing to your brain that you may not even be aware of, to your body, to living with that tension.
For the women there especially.
That'd be a horrible way to live.
One told me that everything's happened to her except rape. You know, they'd been carjacked. A lot of things like that.
Horrible way to live.
So yeah, I think it's when you're living in a high crime situation where it is likely that at least once in your life you're going to be facing a life-death possible situation. You've got to think about, would it be better if I had a gun? Because they tend to choose weaker targets, like criminals will do.
Well, that's the whole point, isn't it? They want the least trauma for themselves.
But often they just want to be in, out, grab your wallet and go. And if you start pulling a gun, like it was suggested to us, we were going to go for a walk along the Cape, and robberies were common along this particular walk. Should we take a replica pistol? No, they said, don't do that. You'll get shot. As soon as they see you've got it, they'll shoot you because they don't want to be shot. So, as a self-defense argument, it's very shaky because you can go from surviving a fairly survivable crime situation to it escalating away out of control very quick. So,
and again, I wouldn't disagree with anything that you've just said. I really wouldn't. It makes to me, I don't need to necessarily read a study or understand anything. It makes logical sense that what you're saying makes sense to me. And your question, Mike the Llama, is to say, well, why does it make sense to someone like me or even you, but doesn't make sense to the big, vast number of
and again,
of
I'm
Yanks?
aware that's because we live in a completely different society where we just don't live in fear of someone.
There are two things which the US carries around either like an anchor or like a badge. Okay, so the one thing, again, they carry this both as an anchor and a badge. One is their history. They have very much been sold a narrative. The narrative is they have moulded their nation from a bunch of British aggressors. They're independent. Their entire history is independence from England. No taxation without representation. That whole thing, and they've built that narrative. And then the first thing, and again, I don't know whether this is necessarily a badge, but it certainly is an anchor, is the gun lobby. The gun lobby has hijacked that narrative, which in a lot of ways is a wonderful narrative, right? In a lot of ways, the fact that they built a nation...
Well, it certainly speaks to history.
It does.
And that's what they're all about.
It does. It's a wonderful history. And look, you could talk about that history, and you could talk about the history and say, well... you could certainly talk about the topic of manifest destiny and talk about the topic of imperialism and invasion of nations and so on and so forth. That could be a topic for another podcast. But the fact of the matter is there is a history there. You have a place like the US that has that is independent from England and formed its history based on that. There is a narrative around that. And you've got people like the gun lobby that have completely hijacked and stolen that narrative, all for the purpose of making money. The gun lobby is not interested in the safety of people. This is what bugs me about these things. And there's a lot of topics that really, really shit me and bug me because they exist because people don't think for themselves and they just want to listen to the narrative. The gun lobby and the people who manufacture guns do not give a shit about you. Understand this, please. They don't give a shit about your safety. They don't give a shit about whether you've got a good gun and whether you should use that gun or not. No. They don't give a shit about whether or not a criminal will walk in and kill you. They will, let me fucking tell you, they will happily sell that gun to that criminal. The more they can arm the criminal, the more they can sell to you to disarm the criminal, to sell you the idea of disarming that criminal. So don't fucking think the gun lobby is your best friend.
Is the gun lobby appealing to the criminal? Aren't the criminals getting it irrespective of the gun lobby? That's the argument.
Well, I would go as far as saying that the gun lobby is injecting guns into the system to the criminal. I would say to you that there's probably some arm of the gun lobby in saying, guns are us. You want a fucking gun, we'll give it to you for free. I would almost be happy to say that.
Well, I don't know about that, but I certainly agree that they're preying on the fear of the other people who see the criminals have the guns. So they're saying, well, you should have a gun too.
Look, I lived in the US for a time, and I lived in Texas, as you well know. And if I remember the laws in Texas, it was a concealed carry laws, and you could.
Were you concealing a package?
Wow.
Anyway, go on.
Let
Yes.
me take some of the girls that I met there might want to write in. No. I didn't meet any. I was married at the time.
Very
so,
good.
no. In all seriousness, no, look again.
Did you see many guns when you were there, or were they all concealed?
I can't say that I have a particular memory of a gun being shown. No, I can't say that I have that memory. But I was told
that everyone had a freaking gun.
I was told that people were allowed to conceal. I did hear the news of some person who ran into the back of another person's car, and then there was a fracas that came out of that, and one person shot the other person in the middle of in the middle of the road that I used to drive on. I didn't see it for myself, but I did hear that. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I lived in the US for a time, and it was a concern for me. The whole gun law thing was definitely a concern. But one thing I noticed, living in the US, that was very, very different to Australia, was that they basically live their life and build their economy based on fear. It's very, very evident from a very simple analysis of their ads on TV.
Yeah, they're all doctors.
Yeah,
lawyers.
The ads are basically trying to sell you some sort of medicine that you need to survive. Some sort of pill because you may have erectile dysfunction. Some sort of system by which you can either protect yourself, protect your home, protect your family, or some sort of legal advice because someone has done you wrong. So those are the four main ads that I noticed on the.
I recall that again. I was there in 2005, and they are the exact same things. Yeah. Insurance was the other thing.
And insurance
because you've got to pay $1 squillion for insurance. Don't you? So I agree from my limited experience.
Yeah. So it's a society. It is a wonderful society that's built on fear. I hate to say that, I really do.
Which is a shame, because every American I've ever met has been really nice.
Yeah,
it disturbs me a bit to think that their country, which they think is so awesome, which it is built around that fear factor. Sounds like a good name for a TV show, doesn't it? It's built around that concern that at any moment someone could take your shit, someone could kill you, someone could harm your family. No one's out to look after you. You have to pay for yourself if you get sick $1 gazillion because... it's
very, very sad that's the way it is. It really is a very sad way of things. I mean, okay, not every American I've met has been a nice person. I've met a bunch of people, a bunch of Americans that were complete assholes. And
we know a lot of Australians who are complete assholes.
I know. I can tell you, I'd be here forever listing those people. Let me tell you.
But they don't have guns, so you don't have to worry about them.
No, I mean, there's assholes everywhere. But look, by and large, I've got relatives that are American, and they're absolutely freaking wonderful people. Absolutely wonderful people. And I've met a lot of Americans that are wonderful people. Absolutely amazing, wonderful people. And as for the nation itself, what an amazing nation. I mean, seriously, I have to say, it is truly, truly an amazing nation. For a lot of different reasons, a lot of geographic reasons. There's very industrious people, technology, that a lot of things came out of the US.
My concerns for all this is not because I think America sucks. It's not because I think the complete opposite. My concern is for people who, as you say, are living there in fear and think that the only thing that's going to protect them or solve them their issues is having a gun, and not just a regular gun, like something that's going to blow the absolute head off an elephant or something.
They've been sold a narrative. Even the most thinking of people have been sold a narrative. Obviously, not everyone will buy into that, but the majority has been sold a narrative. And it's again, the politicians feel that they cannot be elected in that country if they go against the gun lobby. And in a lot of ways, they're bloody well right. The only way you're going to solve the problem is, you need to elect a politician that is a secularist, that is happy to admit that, A, they're an atheist. right? So that they're not connected to any system of belief, and automatically by being an atheist and genuinely being an atheist, they're going to have a more logical mind and therefore based their existence and their platform on facts. So that's one thing you need. The second thing you need is to remove any sort of donation, any sort of lobbying from that political system. The minute that you've got money involved, you're going to lose, because the person with the deepest pockets, the group of people with the deepest pockets, are going to always win. And the minute that you have any lobbyist that's going to offer you more money so you can get elected, you're going to lose.
So it probably...
Let me just interrupt you and just say this as well. I've loved the US for a very long time. When I was a younger person, I wanted to go and live there permanently. And in fact, when I did live there, I worked very, very hard to try and get a visa to live there and to work there. And unfortunately, when I moved there for a short time, it was just after 9/11.
Yeah.
And the level of visas had been, very, very controlled, and I was unable to do so. But I love the country, and I think it's an amazing place to go for various reasons. And now with a young family, again, it's something that I really would have loved to do. I would have loved to educate my daughter at some of the best schools and institutions in the US, and it's still something I would love to do. And I've had job offers to actually go and work there permanently, move the family over there. But I haven't taken those up, and amazingly, as I've gotten older, so many other considerations have come up because of the way that society is structured, in terms of its laws, in terms of its gun laws, its health laws, and everything like that.
And that's what I was going to say. I guess it's not actually... my question was loaded, no pun intended, because it actually isn't really about the guns in the end. It's about the way that the politics is run and the way things... And all you have to do is look... We get an awful lot of American news, and every day I look at stuff and just think, what the hell is going on? Why would someone think that that's the right thing to do? Or how is it people are accepting of that? And it's the softly things change a little bit at a time and become accepted. I assume that's how things got to where they are now, is that it's the gradual acceptance of things that wouldn't normally be accepted.
Well, that's right. And again, people have been sold a narrative. They've been sold a story, an idea. And there may be a level of truth to that idea. But ultimately, it's probably not all true. And there's probably better ways of doing things, better decisions that can be made that people just don't find palatable.
But that fear thing you were talking about as well, we're seeing it now. At the moment, there's the whole Iran issue that's going on.
Oh, yes.
Some people have suggested, some commentators have suggested that it's, to a certain extent, being manufactured by America because everyone needs an enemy. If you have an enemy, you have something to rally around.
Absolutely.
You have something to get...
Absolutely.
And if your enemy could be the person next door, not that they're Iranian, but because they might be someone with a gun or someone down the road, or you have a fundamental lack of trust of anyone else that you see, then you've controlled the population.
Absolutely.
You've got them eating out of your hands.
Oh, absolutely. And again,
they might disagree with you, but they've lost track of the fact that you're the one who's created this situation, or the government's created this situation.
Oh, look, what you're saying is absolutely right, and it's existed since since Roman times. Keep the people stupid, and you'll control them forever. I mean, back in, I think I've said this in a previous podcast, the Colosseum, when they built the Colosseum, was it Vespasian that built the Colosseum?
Let's say yes.
Right, mate. Look, I could be wrong. Let me while I tell the story, I will look it up. But when they built the Colosseum, the whole idea was the power at the time. The emperor put 108 days of games on there, 115 days of games or something, and the whole idea was, if you basically give the people what they want, they're not looking at what you're doing, and that's basically it. To a lot of extent, it happens in our culture as well.
Oh, yeah.
It's it's a big problem, right?
Yeah, and that's probably part of our previous podcast, or the one before that, where I was complaining about the religious aspect of our Prime Minister and how things are being seemingly spoken about as if it's okay and normal and acceptable. And we just, there are so many things going on that we just sort of accept some of these things in general because of the disengaged aspect of or a position of most people where they don't really pay a lot of attention. If something's happened, they're like, yeah, okay, all right, whatever. Or even not even that. They're not even paying attention to what's going on. How's your Vespasian things going?
Yeah, I was right. It was, it's known, it's Flavian Vespasian Amphitheatre, built in 72 AD.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
I didn't have to look it up. I knew I was right.
Very good.
Oh, I did say Vespasian.
You
right?
did.
I did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Coincidentally, that's your nickname for me.
Vespasian.
That's probably why you said that. So.
Is it? Okay.
Yes. So we haven't solved anything at all in all this.
I have other nicknames for you as well.
That's right.
Something
whole.
Strayed a long way from.
We have, but that's
what people like to fire guns. People like to have guns. Why that is?
Yeah, and that's again. Well, we've probably strayed because
again
it was immediately obvious that there was no actual solution, and the only thing that I hope is that some guns are enough, rather than all guns being enough.
Look, you're never going to be able to get rid of the guns in a place like the US. Not with the narrative that they're constantly being told, not with the political system that they have in place, not with the lobby that's continually pushing and have built a major economy on the sale of those weapons and any related paraphernalia. You will not get it through. Absolutely, I don't like to use the word, but it is impossible. And especially, with this idea that if you fire a gun, if you own a gun, if you fire that gun, you are a man. You are a real
Okay,
man.
so given that we can't solve it, and given that there will be the next mass shooting,
Yep.
Thoughts and prayers? Is that what happens? What do we do? Do we just... I know we're over here, and a lot of the arguments that have been said
What
to
do
me...
we do? I know what I do. I stay in Australia.
Well...
But... Well, I can't fix it. I can't... There's no... Thoughts, yes, maybe I have thoughts. We're doing that now. Prayers, no, because that's pointless and useless, and, no one's listening. What's the point? What's the point of it all? I mean, I'm not even sure I have thoughts anymore.
So what do the people in America... So there would be people in America...
Immigrate.
Well, no, you can't do that because America's a nice place. We've just established that. So what if you live in America and this has happened and you're like, oh, for God's sake, I'm sick of this. What do they do? What do they do? If that's part of their society, they understand as well that people need guns.
I can honestly tell you, if I were living in the US... and with my love for my family, I would be looking for ways to immigrate. That would honestly be my solution to this, because I know that I can't solve it any other way.
But you're saying that as an Australian, you're not saying that as American. So Americans aren't going to want to leave. What do? They
can't do anything.
So they just accept it.
Yep. I
think any change might have to come from not legislation, but from people choosing for themselves that they don't want to have, that guns aren't necessary. I think any legislation, because whatever happens whenever there's a major shooting, the sales of guns go up because they're all afraid that
they're trying to protect
legislation's going to be changed, that
yes.
they won't be able to get those guns.
Yes.
So they start buying those big guns.
So how fucked up is that?
Yeah, it's...
But no, look, I would normally say that people power is a very good thing, and I do believe it is. But it's not going to work. It won't work. Look at what happened when the banks failed, and you had all those people lining up Wall Street, the 1%ers, right? We are the 1%. We are the 1%. Well, yeah. So what? You were the 1%. You still are the 1%. Have the banking laws changed? No. What? You camped down on Wall Street. Did you fucking affect anything? No. Is the banking system still fucked? Yes. Are you ever? Is the banking system going to collapse again? Fuck, it is. Of course it is. Are you still going to be the 1%ers? Yes, you are going to still be the 1%ers. And is your life going to change? No. Fucking no. It's not going to change. Your life isn't going to change. Accept it. You're fucked.
just talking about immigration and going back to South Africa, that is actually the solution that a lot of South Africans choose to leave the country. And
of course it is.
To Australia often.
There's no. It's not. I'm not saying to people that they should emigrate. Let's put that clear, right? I want to make that clear, and I'm not. And I'm also saying it. I'm not saying that people should emigrate because I'm some sort of fucking genius, right? I'm not a genius. I just look at things in the most simplistic way possible. If you're faced with a dire situation like this, like guns in the US or the health system or whatever other fucking thing you want, you've only got. I shouldn't swear so much. It really lowers my arguments, right? But really, I just get fired up, right? But if you're facing these sorts of situations, you're really faced with either change it or get out of there. That's the only way you can go.
Except that you said earlier that they have the mentality that it's not going to happen to me.
That's right.
And that's why they stay.
And that's why they stay. But statistically, there's a good chance. Well, okay, statistically, there probably is a good chance that it won't happen to them. Right? So if I look at the pure statistics of it, then it's logical to stay. It makes sense.
I've imagined the situation where, imagine that you took the 100 most powerful NRA people in America, all right, and you simultaneously broke into their homes and shot their families up with automatic weapons. This is just
hypothetical. Yeah.
Right. I still believe that they would still want to keep the laws as they are.
Oh, absolutely they would.
The surviving members of their family would still be arguing to keep guns.
Absolutely.
Even if it happened to their own
Absolutely.
families.
So you're talking, your argument, right? Audio Pete.
Hey, there we go.
Your argument is working. Your argument is placed on the limit, right? You're really operating your argument at the limit. And you're not going to solve the problem even at the limit. How are you going to solve the problem when you're away from the limit? It's not going to be solved.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, our brothers and sisters in the US are screwed. And look, that applies to a lot of other nations as well. In Australia, we're screwed as well. We're screwed in different ways.
We're screwed differently. We're not going to be shot. Yeah. We might be stabbed, but we're not going to be. Probably not going to be.
What'll screw us? What'll screw us in Australia is our socialist system. Our system of we like to think of ourselves as a democracy. We're not really. We're more of a socialist system. And that's what will screw us in the end, because we'll get to a point where we can't pay for things, and where people won't want to work because we're so overtaxed in order to pay for things.
Which is why we sold our guns to get money back, so we had some money, maybe.
Right. Look, everyone's screwed. That's the unfortunate reality.
Sounds like our summing up. You're all screwed and bad luck.
No, I don't want to put it that way, but we're talking about guns, we're talking about the US, and I don't want to sound like I'm ragging on the US.
I don't think that's what this was about. It was more about.
I don't. I love the US. I've got people there. I've been to New York. I've been to Texas. I've been to Seattle.
Phoenix.
I've been to Phoenix. Yes, thank you very much. I've worked there. I've lived there, and I've loved the place. There's a lot of things I don't like about it.
You did bitch and moan about how hot it was, but that's
but that's me, right? I don't like hot. Right. I don't like hot weather, but that's anywhere in the world, right? But look, it's the way it is. It's the way the culture. It's the way the nation is. Unfortunately, from that perspective, it is a bit screwed. And I can't see it. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen in 100 years, 1,000 years.
No, we can only go by what's happening now. I guess, look, in conclusion, we can only offer hope that you won't be one of those people getting shot.
That's right.
Yeah. Because it seems like nothing's going to change. Statistically, you're in a good position.
Yes.
You're not going to be a victim.
But on the other side of that statistical coin, you're also in a bad position, because statistically you know how many guns there are out there, and you know that it's going to happen again. So statistically, even if it doesn't happen to you, it's still happening in your society. That's not good. There really needs to be, it would have to be a mass movement of people. It really would have to be a mass movement of people. You would have to have 80% of people. I mean, I don't know what percentage don't agree with the gun laws or whatever, but you would have to have that percentage of people essentially not turning up for work to fuck up the economy to send a message, right? So economy is always the biggest thing, and I always think to myself, if people just didn't go to work, it would really fuck up the economy, right, in a serious way.
And then there'd be lots of
Anarchy.
crime.
Not all have a
people
gun.
firing guns.
Oh dear. All right. On that note, we probably should
It's a
wrap this
hard
up.
one.
It's
It's a very,
hard,
very
and
hard
that's,
one.
and I guess that's probably why I was waffling at the start, because it's hard to articulate just exactly what the issue is,
Yeah,
because
it is.
you can't quite get to
It's
it.
a complex issue.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll do something nicer for the next one. Thank
Will
you
it?
again.
All right.
Thank you again. Thanks, Audio Pete.
That's fine.
And we will, we will prick the bubble of something more delightful.
Thank you again, everyone. Hope
Next
you like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.